We grow up believing that respect belongs to the loudest person in the room, the one with the quickest answers, the strongest opinions, the biggest personality, the person who always has something to say. But if you quietly observe the world long enough, something unexpected begins to appear. The people who truly command respect are often the ones who speak the least, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned something most people never do. Words become more valuable when they are no longer given away so easily. Modern life rewards visibility. Social media rewards attention. Conversations reward speed. Everyone seems to be competing to be heard before anyone else. To respond first. To explain first. To interrupt first. To prove themselves first. Silence has almost become suspicious. If someone says very little, people often assume they lack confidence. They assume the quiet person is nervous, uncertain, shy, or simply has nothing interesting to contribute. But silence and insecurity are not the same thing. In fact, they often exist at opposite ends of the same spectrum. The insecure mind constantly searches for reassurance. It explains itself before anyone asks. It fills every pause because silence feels uncomfortable. It worries about being misunderstood, ignored, forgotten. The confident mind experiences silence differently. It does not feel empty. It feels peaceful, because confidence does not depend on constant confirmation from other people. Perhaps this is why truly confident people rarely feel the need to dominate conversations. They understand something subtle about human psychology. People remember weight more than volume. Imagine listening to someone who speaks without stopping. At first you pay attention. Then your mind begins to wander. Eventually, every sentence starts sounding the same. Now imagine someone who listens carefully, who pauses before answering, who speaks only when they have something meaningful to add. Without realizing it, the room begins waiting for that person to speak, not because they demanded attention, because they earned it. Scarcity creates value. This is true for almost everything in life: time, trust, opportunity, even words. When something is constantly available, people stop appreciating it. But when something appears with intention, people naturally assign it greater importance. Silence works the same way. The less someone speaks unnecessarily, the more people listen when they finally do. This has very little to do with status, and everything to do with perception. Human beings instinctively notice emotional stability. We are constantly reading one another without realizing it. Body language, tone, pace, expressions, tiny movements, small hesitations. The brain processes these signals long before it analyzes the actual words being spoken. That is why calmness can feel so powerful. When everyone else becomes reactive, the calm person appears grounded. When everyone rushes to defend themselves, the calm person appears secure. When everyone competes for attention, the calm person seems independent of it. This creates a fascinating psychological effect. People often mistake emotional control for authority. Not because authority always possesses emotional control, but because emotional control signals inner stability, and stability has always inspired trust. Think about moments of uncertainty, a difficult meeting, an unexpected crisis, a disagreement. People naturally begin looking for someone who remains composed. Not necessarily the loudest person, the calmest one. Because calmness quietly suggests something important. If I am not panicking, perhaps there is no reason for you to panic either. Emotions spread between people more easily than ideas. One anxious person can influence an entire room, but one deeply calm person can do exactly the same. This is why presence matters more than performance. Many people spend years trying to become more impressive, funnier, smarter, more interesting, more charismatic. But respect rarely comes from performing. It comes from consistency. People trust what feels genuine, not what feels rehearsed. Quiet confidence cannot be faked for very long. Eventually, every performance becomes exhausting, because pretending requires constant maintenance. Real confidence requires nothing. It simply exists. There is another reason silence carries so much power. It forces other people to reveal themselves. Most conversations are filled with interruptions. People are usually preparing their next sentence instead of hearing the current one. Listening has quietly become one of the rarest skills in modern life. When someone listens completely, something unexpected happens. People begin talking more honestly. Not because they planned to, because being heard is deeply comforting. Every human being carries an invisible desire. The desire to feel understood, not admired, not praised, understood. Most people chase admiration. Very few offer understanding. The quiet person often becomes unforgettable because they provide what everyone else is too busy to give. Attention, complete attention. There is also a hidden strength inside patience. Notice how quickly people react online. One comment, one disagreement, one misunderstanding. Within seconds, hundreds of responses appear. The modern world rewards immediate reaction. But immediate reaction is not always wisdom. Sometimes the strongest response is the one that arrives after reflection. Silence creates space, and inside that space, better decisions often emerge. The mind becomes clearer when it is no longer rushing to prove itself. This does not mean quiet people are always right, nor does it mean loud people are always wrong. The point is much deeper. True confidence has no urgency. It does not feel threatened by disagreement. It does not fear being overlooked for a few moments. It does not need every room to revolve around it, because its value does not depend on constant recognition. Perhaps that is the greatest misunderstanding about confidence. Many people believe confidence is something visible, a loud voice, bold gestures, constant certainty. But genuine confidence is often invisible. It appears as patience, as restraint, as stillness, as thoughtful words spoken at exactly the right moment. There is an old idea that empty containers make the most noise. Whether or not the saying is always true, it points toward an interesting observation. People who possess deep knowledge often become more careful with certainty. The more they understand, the more they recognize how much remains unknown. Meanwhile, people with little understanding often speak with complete confidence, not because they know more, because they have not yet discovered the complexity of what they do not know. Humility and wisdom often grow together, and humility naturally softens the need to dominate every conversation. Perhaps this is why some of history's most respected thinkers were known more for asking questions than delivering speeches. They understood that curiosity leaves more room for truth than certainty ever can. In the end, the quietest person in the room is not always the wisest, but the wisest person rarely feels the need to convince everyone that they are wise. Respect cannot be demanded. It cannot be forced. It cannot be borrowed from louder words or bigger performances. It quietly grows from presence, from consistency, from emotional stability, from listening, from speaking with intention rather than impulse. Because people eventually forget how loudly someone spoke, but they rarely forget how someone made a room feel. And perhaps the most respected person is not the one who speaks above everyone else. Perhaps it is the one whose silence says they no longer need to.